1 hour earlier before the call, at the dorms of UCLA, Sandy was doing the usual roundabouts, making sure that the girls weren't going crazy, or simply doing stupid actions that would get them expelled. She then grabs her phone and starts texting someone. But little does she know, lurking in the darkness, was Jeff, stalking her and getting ready to strike, creeping behind her with his knife. And just as he was about to strike, Jessica then came into view with her boyfriend, drunk, and saw Jeff sneaking up on Sandy. Jessica then screamed and surprised both Sandy and Jeff. Sandy then turned and saw Jeff and tried to make a run for it. But sadly, she wasn't lucky. Jeff grabbed her by the hair and stabbed his knife into her left side, leaving her to bleed out. Then Jessica and her boyfriend ran out of there to call security. Jeff didn't pay any mind to them. He knew that he had a lot of victims ready to fall by his blades anyway. Jeff then started to walk around the halls, seeing where to start his kill count. Just then the girls got out of their rooms because they heard Sandy scream, naturally. But what they didn't know was that they were going to be lined up for Jeff's kill count. Soon they were startled by seeing Jeff, as the girls gazed upon the pale ghoul before them, figuring out what to do to escape him. Just then, they saw another figure appear behind the pale ghoul. Jeff then turned to see what they were looking at, and surprise, surprise, El Chicano had arrived to finally finish what he started. As El Chicano and Jeff the Killer stared down each other again, he then looked at the group of girls and motioned with his head to exit through the fire escape doors. The girls then did that, except one who wanted to record the face-off. Just then, one girl pulled her to get the hell out of the building. "It's time to end you, you piece of shit," El Chicano said with his vengeful voice. "The only one who'll fall by blades will be you, Grim Reaper," Jeff told El Chicano with fury in his voice as he took out another knife from behind him. "Ladies first, you Joker reject," El Chicano said as he pulled out his Aztec war knife. That irritated Jeff as he growled and lunged at El Chicano, beginning round 2 of their fight. Ava and Leslie hurried over to their dorm building, and as they arrived, they saw a lot of guys and girls standing on the sidelines. Security was holding them, the crowd back along with the two of them, and they soon found Jessica. "Jessica, what happened?" they both asked. "That psycho pale killer came to the dorms and stabbed Sandy. She survived. She's hanging in there. The ambulance is on their way, but I heard from the other girls that a dark hooded figure showed up and is fighting that pale killer." Jessica sobbed. "El Chicano," Leslie said to Ava. "Jeez, I wonder what they're..." Ava said, until they heard glass shattering and saw Jeff get thrown from the glass doors, but got up as if simply nothing happened, laughing evilly at the excitement that just occurred, and then seeing the crowd looking at him, smiling and laughing maniacally. He then started to run into the security car that the campus security foolishly left the keys in. Just then El Chicano stood on that crashed glass where Jeff fell from, saw him driving away. "Come and catch me if you can, Grim Reaper." El Chicano then headed to his chopper, started it up, and drove off after Jeff. Leslie, come on, let's go," Ava told Leslie as she grabbed her arm, both heading for Ava's car. "Wait, what are we doing?" Leslie asked Ava. Ava then pulled out the box that Maria gave them. "Wait, you're not thinking that we..." Leslie said to Ava. "Look, if you want to end that psycho son of a bitch's reign of murder, we have to, okay?" There was a silence. until Leslie finally sighed. Okay, I guess. Alright then. Let's go, Leslie said, not sure if it was a good idea, but, they had no choice. As Ava started the car and went after El Chicano and Jeff the Killer. The chase was on, as El Chicano was right behind Jeff, dodging car by car. Meanwhile, Jeff was laughing maniacally while he ran red lights, almost running over people on sidewalks, and El Chicano then took out a pistol he had clipped onto his bike. Tried taking out the tires. The bullets, surprisingly, kept missing. Only one was left in the chamber. He breathed in and breathed out. Took the shot for a bullseye. The car spun around and flipped and dragged onto the concrete, stopping nearly close to a cemetery. How fitting. Jeff then got out with barely any scratches. As Jeff was running towards the cemetery, El Chicano then stopped his bike and chased after him. However, the cemetery was familiar to El Chicano. As Jeff continued running with El Chicano behind him, both of them panted hard. Jeff hauled ass, but El Chicano then stopped at a tombstone, glared at it, dropping to his knees, putting his right bloody hand onto the name on the tombstone with a deep and vengeful voice, stating, "You will be avenged." He gripped his hand tightly. Ava and Leslie got out of their car, following them. Just then, they saw El Chicano stand up and continue running. The girls then went to the tombstone where El Chicano was on, and the tombstone had words that said, "Raul Reyes, beloved son and brother, never forgotten." Raul Reyes. Just then, oh my god. Danny, Leslie said, surprised, as she had already figured it out. Ava knew as well what was going through her head, and beckoned her. "Leslie, come on," Ava said, pulling on her arm. Jeff then headed to the abandoned junkyard, taking a minute to catch his breath. A throwing knife just barely missed his head, and there he was, El Chicano, once again, standing in front of him. "Why don't you just die?" Jeff said in an angrily hateful voice as he rushed El Chicano, and again, they fought to the death. Just then, Ava and Leslie saw them fighting yet again, and she then held out the tiny box in front. "Wait, are you sure you want to do this?" Leslie asked. Ava then whinnied the handle a couple of times on the box closely to the end of the song. "Yes," she replied. Just then the box opened up and a small pit of black smoke filled the air. Just as it cleared up, the girls saw what was inside the box, and found it to be nothing. It was empty. But then the box just disappeared without a trace. Meanwhile, Jeff and El Chicano were still fighting with their knives clashing and clanging, except El Chicano this time had the upper hand. He then stabbed Jeff on the leg. Jeff fell to the floor and El Chicano crouched on the side. He was about to pull the same move as he did with Ignacio. He went for the heart, except Jeff stopped the knife from coming down. "Trying to kill me like you did with Ignacio, huh?" Jeff said while stopping Chicano's hand with the knife, as both legends were grunting and using force to outdo each other. "You are finally gonna pay for the pain you caused me all those years ago," Chicano said with a vengeful tone. "What are you talking about? What pain? I've never come to LA before," Jeff said while grunting with the knife now close to his chest. "Don't lie to me! Damn you to hell!" El Chicano screamed with rage in his voice, trying to stab Jeff's heart. And just when El Chicano was close to stabbing Jeff's heart, they then heard a music tone that sounded like... that sounded like it was for children. El Chicano felt as if He knew that song from the past. So did Jeff, hearing that same song being played. El Chicano then stood up, looked around. That's when he spotted it. No, it can't be! You! El Chicano said angrily and pointed and felt as if his heart had stopped beating. Even Leslie also saw what gazed upon them and shocked them to their bones. Jeff also saw what he was pointing at, except he wasn't shocked. He simply smiled maniacally. As a tall, dark figure with mangled, long black hair, with twisted locks, sharp teeth, with a sinister smile, arms hanging down like a rag doll, and grotesque, long, sharp fingernails stood tall. The figure then spoke with a raspy voice. Hello there.